And welcome back to Get the News Straight. I'm your host, Glenn Sutphin. With me is Chris Dorsey. We were just discussing in the last segment about the government and everything that was going on there. What did you want to cover this time, man, in this segment?
Well,
Because I think we pretty much covered the gamut of everything, haven't we? Or
maybe we could get into a little more of Virginia Tech, Tim Kaine, WDBJ, Allison Parker, Adam Ward, and Andy Parker, and the fact that it was the year anniversary of the WDBJ reporter shooting. What was the guy's name? Lester Flanagan or something like that. This guy who had two different names was a disgruntled employee and shot Allison Parker. And allegedly, because it was fake, it was all staged. It wasn't a real shooting. It was just like Orlando, just like Sandy Hook, just like San Bernardino, just like Virginia Tech, and actually probably a little more like Virginia Tech than the others because of its location, around Roanoke, Virginia. And the fact that Tim Kaine was governor of Virginia at the time, we want to talk about maybe some of these Virginia shooting psyops in relation to Tim Kaine, who is well known while he was mayor of Richmond, along with James Comey, who's now head of the FBI, and then Commonwealth's attorney David Hicks, who was the so-called judge in the gun where the police and Department of Homeland Security stole my gun, abducted me, and held me for trial on trumped-up charges after erasing the video that I took of the entire incident, showing that the government was the only one who did anything wrong and who carried out crimes against me. David Hicks oversaw this in the court of law. He knew all about the erased videos. He covered it up. He refused to dismiss the case after multiple motions to dismiss. And he knew about it all along. David Hicks was the Commonwealth's attorney. Tim Kaine, who employs J.C. Wilmore, who attempted to kill me out in front of the SunTrust Bank building during a Democratic committee meeting. That was also caught on video and destroyed by SunTrust Bank. That all these guys are just pushing forward the same agenda, the same gun grab agenda. And also Tim Kaine, who says he looks forward to a time when whites are a minority in Virginia and the United States. And it seems like these are all staged. They're pushing forward specific agendas, and there's a lot of production value behind these actions. And it was just the year anniversary of the Allison Parker, Adam Ward, WDBJ shooting. And I discovered something several days ago, and that was back in 2005. There was a picture of Tim Kaine with the director in the Parker family, which is the producer, director, professional producer and director, and that's Allison Parker's mother. Allison Parker herself, who was in high school, and Andy Parker and Tim Kaine with their arms around each other, and they're all in the same picture. So Tim Kaine and Allison Parker came in contact with each other well before 2005, which was 10 years before the staged WDBJ shooting, which had the racial element, about it with the black shooter, and also the racial element about it because the video allegedly running live, that was two videos spliced together. We saw the different color of the individual's hands who was filming the event. The two different individuals filming the event, so that means two different shooters, so it obviously didn't happen live. Obviously it was staged. Obviously Andy Parker and Allison Parker and Tim Kaine had a gun grab agenda before this took place. And the coincidence, it doesn't stop there, because we have Tim Kaine involved in the Virginia Tech shooting with other gun grab activists who are parents of alleged victims. And we had a email threat to Virginia Tech about an attack yesterday. So all of these things are coming back into the foreground right now. And of course, we touched on in the previous section the Richmond Greyhound bus race war psyop shooting, the same day that the founder of Black Lives Matter movement, not the real one, not George Soros, but the front person, the face of the Black Lives Matter movement, was speaking in Richmond that same night, and all of a sudden a white police officer named Chad Dermeyer is carrying out a drill and in the Richmond Greyhound bus station, a live shooter drill. And during this live shooter drill, it just so happens some guy named James Brown III from Aurora, Illinois. So we have James, just like James Holmes, and we have Aurora, Illinois, just like Aurora, Colorado, with James Holmes, carrying out another staged race war color shootout where we have the gray, just like they did with the Freddie Gray psyop, the 50 Shades of Freddie Gray, the Gray State. We have Greyhound race war shooting psyop. And of course, during this event, Tim Kaine tweeted that he was so upset about the shooting an hour before it even happened, which we see in a lot of these shootings. We see high-ranking government officials tweeting out that the event has taken place before the event even took place, and that ties in with the gay boyfriend of Allison Parker, who had multiple tweets out talking about the death of Allison Parker and Adam Ward even before it happened. So
yeah, a lot of inconsistencies on all of these things. I mean, it's like, and people believe them. I mean, they keep playing them up, and it's the media that does this shit, because the media has brainwashed these brain dead people into thinking all this shit's real, and they go on TV and they, oh wow, look at that, oh, we got to do something, and it's always the wrong reaction that comes out from all of it, but that's all part of that psyop. I mean,
right, and also I do want to point out they don't address what we're saying. There are a lot of folks who are seeing these same things, and they don't address what we're saying. This can tie into the controlled opposition. We've had issues in the past where they go, oh yeah, Chris, you're right on this, but you're wrong on the Twitter timer, and that's going to make everything throw off. That's going to make everything you say all look bad. And it's just like, you never know what to believe, because a lot of times these guys are responding to second and third hand information. They're not necessarily coming up with this on their own. A lot of times they're controlled opposition looking to just throw off anything during the Richard Gutjahr thing. Oh no, Chris, that was John DeCamp. That wasn't Richard Gutjahr. So everything you said about Richard Gutjahr is wrong, even though all the pictures that were attributed to anyone who existed were attributed to Richard Gutjahr, but you're still all wrong about Richard Gutjahr. So again, we see this time and time and time again. We figured out your tricks. We get into the minutia, the backward and the forward. You haven't outsmarted us. We know that Tim Kaine is in on this stuff years in advance. We know that Tim Kaine is tweeting out early. It doesn't have anything to do with his tweets coming from the West Coast or this thing or that thing. He's tweeting early, and so's the gay boyfriend of Allison Parker. Tim Kaine tweeted early, Greyhound bus shooting. Allison Parker's gay boyfriend. And of course, then there's this guy, Tim Saunders, who's clearly, whether it's Allison Parker or not, is clearly a woman, dressed up like a man, clearly has her breasts tied down with bandages that are causing ruffling under the shirt, under the surface. You can just look at all this stuff. If you don't see it, you might not be smart enough. You may just not be smart enough, in which case, hey, that's fine. We're certainly not going to hold it against you. We're certainly not going to give you more responsibility than you can handle. But again, get out of the way. Don't pretend like you can comprehend the same things that we can comprehend, and don't pretend like you can read the writing on the wall. We have eyes to see, we have ears to hear, and we know that Tim Kaine has been involved with this dirty, high-level Catholic Church nonsense since he was sent down by the Jesuits to help put in mind control operations on behalf of the Contras in Honduras, arming the Contras with his Jesuit coadjutor buddy, John Negroponte, and buggering all the children down there like he likes to do, like he and his wife did while he was governor of Virginia running the CPS, which is a child prostitution ring, and his wife was taking children away from their own parents and handing them over to child molesters and child pimps when she was a family court judge in the city of Richmond. And while his wife was the head of the Virginia Department of Education, which is the largest pedophile pimp network in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. We have all the dots connected. That's who's doing it. It's the papists, it's the Jews, and the Jews are running the papists, and they need to be stopped, and they need to be stopped by all means necessary. And we are telling you right now, we are going to stop them by all means necessary, and we're not playing around with them in any way.
Yeah, I got nothing nice to say about the DSS or CPS.
Well, I mean,
been through it personally. It was all bullshit.
Hey, Glenn, how about we tie this in with the Richmond Police Department, with the Richmond Outreach Center, and with the cop who came at you messing with your son, who, it turns out, the CPS guy who was messing with your son, accusing you of complete bull crap that had nothing to do with reality. In fact, name that guy's name from the CPS, and then we'll name the cop's name.
Craig Ferguson. Craig Ferguson was the CPS.
Okay, let's stop there. Craig Ferguson of the CPS is now in jail for...
Well, I don't know if he's still in jail because he fell off the radar. Because when he put that stupid Alfred
for what?
Raping a 15-year-old mentally challenged girl that was under his control.
Okay, and the cop who came after you about your child in the same instance where Ferguson came after you. What was that cop's name?
Well, the one that was with Ferguson, I don't know his name, but if you're referring to the other one that came later, Charles Church.
Okay. Where is Charles Church right now?
In jail for raping a 12-year-old? I think it is, yeah. Yeah. So two people that came against me are now convicted.
They were making false,
very false,
obviously, false and baseless accusations against you.
Based on my reputation from what I used to do when I worked in the adult industry.
Right.
No, that is very true.
Let's get this all real straight so there's no confusion. In the adult industry, which, whatever, adult. But what they were accusing you of doing, they were working for CPS and working for the Richmond Police. They were accusing you falsely of doing something while they, at the same time, were actually raping children.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I've gone after him,
honestly,
and I hope
Glenn, you haven't done anything wrong, and they are child rapists, and that's who the government is sending out and wants to deal with your child, you, Glenn, your son. And at that time, he was right in these guys' wheelhouse, wasn't he? He was about that age of the individuals that these two government officials, and I also want to point out that this is not an isolated incident. That the Richmond Police Department, the Department of Social Services, they have been known to knowingly leave children who are being prostituted, and raped in the hands of those that social services, the Richmond Department of Social Services, the Virginia Department of Child Protective Services, the Richmond Police, the Virginia State Police, and other federal so-called law enforcement agents. There's reports that show that they are knowingly leaving, putting children and leaving them in situations where they are being raped. And
molested, killed, drugged, all that.
Drugged, raped, experimented on for corporate financial gain, prostituted for corporate financial gain. These are not adults that are making their own decisions. These are children who are forced by the government into these situations. And we'll tie that back into the Rock Church and Geronimo Aguilar, who was a well-known pedophile before he even came into the city of Richmond, where he came from California. He was a well-known Hispanic gang leader and motorcycle gang leader who was a known drug dealer. The Richmond Outreach Center was dealing drugs, dealing children, and the Richmond Police and the Department of Social Services were sending children to the Richmond Outreach Center, which is now debunked, which was funded entirely by the State of Israel and had Israeli flags on the outside of their urban Midlothian Turnpike, gigantic facility. And that, of course, Geronimo Aguilar, before he was extradited to Texas, where he was convicted of raping children, was living in one of the nicest neighborhoods in the city of Richmond, down by the river, in a multi-million-dollar house. And it was paid for by the church. And Michelle Mosby, the president of City Council, when I stated this time and time again on live television in front of the Richmond City Council, she said, well, I sent my kid to the Richmond Outreach Center. I sent my kid to the Rock Church. There you go. There you go. You don't wish to have this. You're bought off. You're paid for, Michelle Mosby. You're a ghetto hood rat, weed queen who's probably got less than 100 IQ and is smart enough and vicious enough and violent enough and dumb enough to come after folks like me. You can send your children out to be raped. You don't care. You care more about furthering your agenda. Don't do it to other people's kids. Don't do it. We're going to arrest you too. And your ghetto hood rat pastor roommate who's getting paid as a liaison. You know, what's up with that? I don't know. That's just a little aside for those inside politics in Richmond. But everyone everywhere knows about CPS, Department of Social Services, and the police running these pedophile networks. Just heard about with the stuff going on in England with where there's 120 people involved in this massive satanic cult which is raping children, and who's involved in it? Well, the police, administrators in elementary schools and teachers, and barristers and judges.
Okay, what's that noise? I'm getting back.
I got a little bit of noise. It sounds pretty good now.
It's picking up. All right, I'm going to end this segment here.
All right.